Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to another Supreme Commander Epic. It's going to be 6v6 business with an eclectic mix of Joes and Pros going down on this generated map for your viewing pleasure today. Incidentally, apologies if you can hear whirring in the background. For some reason, my stack is being particularly noisy today. I probably shouldn't have mentioned it and drawn your attention to it. But yeah, maybe it'll settle down, or maybe you won't notice it quite so much when the pew-pew starts. It probably needs a good old clean out or something, but yeah. There's stuff going on in my life that's more important than cleaning, and if you saw my house, you'd understand what I mean. Alrighty, let's give our players some time, allow them to gate in while we make our important introductions, starting with Team 1 up here at the top of the screen. Actually, first of all, question. About 4 or 5 years ago, somebody introduced this into the game, and it's been sporadic since then. At the moment, it's running at about 1 in every 50 replays I get sent still has this. I actually thought it was pretty cool. You've got all of their names here, and you click on the signs, and they go away. But why? Why is it on very occasional replays? If you know the answer, I would love to know. Answers in the comment section below. And while you're down there, smash the old like button and tell me how you're feeling today, because it all helps the algorithm. All right, let's take a look at Team 1 as they gated. Starting rearguard air position, it's Pepe. Fecal brown, bless him, but going Aeon, how terribly sensible. Opening first land. Team member number 2 in lime green. We've got Obli La Cibronce going Cybran, which seems reasonably apt, considering the name. Anyway, we'll call him Cibronce or Cybrance today. And he is going first land. Team member number 3, way out in the east, it's Sui in Haliborage Orange, another Aeon going first land. On the front row over here, it's Mythologist, another Cybran, this time in electric blue, going first land. Team member number 5, the winner of Guilecast's Lifetime Fabulous Personality Award. It's Maverick. Let's see if he BMs anybody today in fabulous Maverick style. He's going Cybran, opening first land in Burgundy Red. And last but not least, way out in the west, go west, it's Ethé, our first Seraphim of the day in Ferrari Red, opening first land. So there we have it. 3 Cybrans, 2 Aeons, and a Seraphim for Team 1. Let's check out Team 2 now, starting right at the bottom of the screen with Yoji, another Cybran, this time an Elephantine Grey, going first land. To his left, we have Gojos, or Gojo S. I'll probably call him Gojo today, because it just sounds like it's fun to say. Anyway, he's going UEF, our first of the day, in Spetsnaz green, opening first land. Team member number 3 for Team 2, we've got Babel in combat green, another Aeon going first and second land. On the front row, Ready for Action. What's an interesting name? Well, he is ready for action. He is leaving his main base, or was for a while. Maybe he's finished already. Maybe he was a bit too ready for action. Boom, psh. The jokes write themselves at this point with a name like that. Anyway, he's going Aeon in baby blue, opening first land and getting a couple more land factories further up. Team member number 4, we have Furfa, our second UEF of the day, going first land, this time in Lurid Green. And last but not least, we've got Puck Jr., another Cybran in Mellow Yellow, opening first land, going second air. Racial makeup of Team 2 seems to be 2 UEF, 2 Cybran, and 2 Aeon. How very neat and tidy. No filthy aliens today for Team 2, it would seem. Game quality at 93%. The difference between the two team averages, 1500 to 1483. People to be aware of or to look out for: Yoji on Team 2, a 2000 rated player right in the backfield there. In that Cybran Elephantine Grey. Top right rated player for Team 1, 2100. It's Cibronce. Similar position over here, right at the top of the screen. The 2 Joes, or the lowest rated players, actually it's more than 2. We've got 2 1200s there, Ready for Action, and Puck Jr. So Ready for Action, of course, holding the center line in the middle there. And where was Puck Jr.? Just over here. So I imagine, what have we got over here? I imagine it would be Mythologist. Yeah, also in a similar position at 1200, and SA over here at 1300. So all pretty well married up on that front. What is the map generator given to us today? Well, that's a ton of mass poop strewn everywhere. Looks very much like my back garden with my dog as the distributor. Yeah, tons and tons and tons of... The further you zoom in, you see the more fractionated it is, but it really is perfectly strewn about the map. The map itself, virtually no water to speak of. We've got these two strips up on the left and the right hand edges, but that's not going to feature in any way, shape or form, I wouldn't imagine. And we've got this little, very tiny little central bowl in the center with no mass points in the middle of it. We do have this weird sort of clovery, four-leaf clovery fashion around that of sort of interlinked plateaus where you can get both into the basin and onto the next leaf from each one. But essentially this could lead to a rather, well, topographical impediment, shall we say, for our players. So possibly a nice defensive game for these players to get set up. A lot of room for them to forge bottlenecks and lock down positions. But we'll have to see how it develops. Nice little drop to the top right-hand corner. Courier's not going to make it out of there, but he wasn't heading home anyway. Engineers on the ground get to work on an anti-air turret to give themselves some time. I'm wondering if there's a bomber inbound. Yes, there is. They need to get that completed and then maneuver. Well, they've anticipated the inbound ordnance. One engineer down, and that anti-air turret barely 50% complete. Bomber hanging a Louis and coming back at them. I don't think this is going to fare too well. Another engineer down, one engineer remaining that actually just switches up to recycling the transport wreck before he gets destroyed also. Of course, we also got a land factory going down here from Cybrance, who wants to stop a reoccurrence of that drop. So it looks like Team 1 pretty in control of things up there at the top right hand corner of the screen. We're entering the phase of the game now where ACUs are getting upgrades across the board. We've got a T2-1 there for Sui. We've got a gun upgrade for Mythologist, gun upgrade for Maverick, T2 over there for SA, and a gun upgrade for Cybrance. In the base section of Team 2, gun on the way for ready for action. Puck Jr. has completed his gun. Furfer yet to start an upgrade. Yeah, so a little bit more upgrade heavy on Team 1 side of things. But we have another one over here for Babel. That's actually his second upgrade that's just been initiated. So we've got double Aeon Snipercom business on this left flank for Team 2. Babel rocking a 1400 and up against SA at the moment, who is of course a 1300, but Maverick is right there with his comm, so a bit of 2v1 comm action down here brewing potentially. Might be difficult for Babel to push any further up, and indeed his tinfoil Aurora spam falling at the first hurdle as they come up against a T2 Seraphim PD over on that left hand side. They say no thank you very much, and they are going to drop back. Gun upgrade number 2 completed for Babel. At this point, if I was going to hold here, I would be wishing I had gone defensive and gone for a T2 engineering suite to plonk down some defenses in here. Don't like the idea of trying to push up 2v1 over in this direction. Maverick supported on his right over here by Pepe, who's also getting a gun upgrade. He's recently completed his, of course. Mythologist has gun 2. So there's a lot of firepower on the front lines for Team 1's commanders. Cybrance about to finish his gun. How are we looking at things eco-wise? It's 274 versus 258 in favour of Team 2. Reclaim-wise, Team 2 also up about 1,000 mass so far. What does that translate to in terms of total mass accrued? Well, so far it looks to be about a 4,000 mass advantage. Not too enormous, but we're only 8.5 to 9 minutes into the game so far. Mythologist bringing his ACU to the ridgeline there, firing down on some unsuspecting artillery in the basin below. Ready for action with a ton of fervors there, and also some auroras and some thistles. But they're going to meet a mob of T1 spam from Mythologist, who should run over those aurora vehicles and those fervors with what is a sizable band of Mantis. Maverick also on the move now. Looks like we've got a bit of a 2-on-2 brewing right in the center. We've got gun, gun versus gun and gun. And enhanced sensor suite also for ready for action. Shield upgrade on the way for Babel. Would love to be able to bring his comm into that fight in the center. I'm wondering if that's going to be his move as soon as he completes that shield upgrade. That could be dangerous for Team 1, but it is now a 3v2 for the time being. Oh my goodness, Gojo in trouble here, down into the red, 2,400 hit points and falling rapidly. Maverick determined to try and bag a kill here and now. 10 minutes gone. Can they get their first comm out of the game? Ready for action, just in position to force Maverick back, and that surprises me. I would have expected Maverick to go for the kill there. Gojo barely escaping with some 1,200 hit points to his name. Where is Babel? Has he completed? Yes, he has, so that's a double gun upgrade and personal shield. But doesn't like the look of this inbound potential point defense creep from SA. He went T2 engineering suite. And that was the position that Babel was originally aiming for. That was his forward base for a time there. And ground forced away from underneath him. Furfa in the east. Still unupgraded for Team 2. Seabrance moving his commander back towards the main base section. I like this little walled off section here. It was a completed wall sections, but some of those sections have been taken out. Few rhinos up front now, so Mythologist has transitioned to T2 land. Junior seeing those tanks, leaps on them with that ranged advantage on his upgraded comm. That will force Mythologist just to drop back slightly. Now looking at potentially trying to come in behind here, but there's a lot of spam here for Junior. Doesn't want to get caught out in that. Maybe he senses an opportunity. He has got Seabrance up front. The parashield that was lurking has been depleted already. Puck Jr. down to 7,100 hit points here, but the amount of spam in the area for Mythologist is dropping fast. Mythologist coming in through this aperture now. Maybe he called this absolutely perfectly. Puck Jr. with just 5,000 hit points left on the commander. Mythologist at full health and coming in from the side. This might be our first ejection from the game inside 13 minutes here. Puck Jr. gets a rank in vet, but still only at about 5,500 hit points. Mythologist with all of the hit points in the world to spare. In comes another parashield, but that doesn't last too long. And now we've got a ton of Aurora spam coming in from the northeast from Sui. Puck Jr. could be in trouble here. He's about to dip into the red, sub 3k HP now. The inbound Mantis from Puck trying to focus down on Mythologist's comm, but he's not persuading him to desist anytime soon. Puck Jr. down to sub 1k HP. I think this is going to be it. 800 hit points remaining. I don't know what happened there. Mythologist suddenly lost his concentration. Looked like he was going to turn to engage something else, but he needn't have worried because he got the kill in the end, and all of the spam in the area for Puck Jr. surely would have gone up in that explosion as well. Hopefully, as far as Team 1 are concerned, buying time for Mythologist to back out. And there he is, emerging from the nuclear fire with some 6,800 hit points still on the clock. Wonderful early pick for Team 1, and they're going to go ahead here inside the first 14 minutes. What's happening over on the left flank now? Babel sitting pretty under some shield coverage. Obviously has some T2 engineering tech in the area since he hasn't got the upgrade on the comm. There's the engineer setting up shot with some T2 point defense just over here. It's quite a wide breach that Babel has to cover to secure that area. Gojo, meanwhile, along with Ready for Action, pushing back against Pepe and Mav. Down goes the forward factory belonging to Pepe. I'm not sure this attack has legs. Mythologist bringing the combat, shadowing this potential move from Gojo. Cibrons with his commander moving into position behind that trio. Furfa, meanwhile, in the east, trying to contain Sui, who is now advancing with T3 Harbinger tech. That Ravager will help, and that is building fast. Look at that. Furfa with some stored up mass, but some was all he needed. Gatling guns fired up. Few overcharges here and there from the com, and that will be the end of that attack. As will the attack from Gojo and Ready for Action also peter out. Wise maneuvers there from Team 2's comms, not getting drawn into another bad scenario over here. Far too much firepower amassed for Team 1. Where are we now on the eco side of things? 581 versus 571 in favor of Team 1 now. Total mass accrued. Team 1 just ahead by about 3k. Total mass killed. Team 1 up 4k. Air superiority fighters in play as well from Cibrons. Nine of those on the field. Who is actually handling air for Team 2? We've got two lots of ASFs, Yoji and Gojo. 11 in play for Yoji. And Gojo with some 5. Front lines seem relatively drawn now, which looks like, well, more or less a 50-50 share of the landmass, as almost all weapons fire peters out here at 16.5, 17 minutes. One comm down. It is now a 6v5. Oh, but will that, unfortunately, level it up? Sui gonna leave his teammates in the lurch and drop out of the game. That is unfortunate for Team 1. So now suddenly that eviction of Puck means absolutely nothing, as Team 1 find themselves without a man. All assets transferred over to his teammates. In this case it's Cybrants, who is... It probably should be Cybrants, shouldn't it? Should stop trying to sound French. Let's face it, it's not doing their language any favours. Cybrants up here, now in control of everything in the top right-hand corner. And Gojo going down the TAC missile upgrade route on the comm. Typically with UEF comms, it doesn't end there, so are we going to see a Billy Nuke upgrade shortly after? I sincerely hope so. Always a thing of beauty. As is this game. Still holds up in my mind. Not too shabby for 2007. Even earlier than that, if you consider the first SOCCOM and when this engine was originally designed. Cybrant's stealth upgrade in play now, or will be soon. 80% complete. Lots of focusing on the macro in the main base for Team 2. I imagine it's the case across the board as teams work to get their air production capabilities into full swing. Now, just want to keep track of this air situation. Oh my goodness, nasty little power lock there for Cybrants. 16 ASFs for him. Something like that, and I'm really not seeing any significant air force. Certainly no T3 air from any of the other players on his team. Gojo had some ASFs. He's still only got about 7. Yoji was the main ASF player with 30. So Team 2 starting to amass an aerial advantage. The only other aspect to this game, other than the land, of course, no naval presence. Always like a little bit of naval play, but alas, some maps just don't present us the opportunity. Makes air power all the more important. Give these mexes, says Gojo. I'm in. Come and take them. Mind you, I mean, if you're doing alright on eco, Babel, admittedly it's because Babel needs to tech up more stuff, I guess. Babel's pulling in 65 mass right now, and Gojo's pulling in 200. And he's like, give me the mass! I guess he doesn't know, necessarily, but... Lovely little defensive artillery battery going up on the front of this forward outpost for miasmas planned, and I imagine Gojo's base might be in range of that. We will see. Let me just have a look. First one has started. Who was it? Pepe? Oh, he's cancelled the rest of them. It's actually a Gunther battery that's being built there instead, so only Maverick building there. It was Maverick's batteries. Doesn't quite reach that base at all, so a couple of T1 PDs in range, but otherwise these are all defensive. Wouldn't be too bad to push out further to this cliff edge, and then you could really pressure this forward base. I love this little walled off wedge formation we've got over on the left hand side. SA sniper bots in play. Another shield gen or two down here wouldn't go amiss. That one that is covering this section is struggling at the moment to keep up with the inbound fire. That return fire coming from sniper bots and an absolver, which of course absolutely mashes shield coverage. See that regular pulse taking chunks out of it. That's from one unit onto a T2 shield. Underutilized, in my opinion. But Babel just needs to get a few more sniper bots in to capitalize on the units when that shield falls. That is a nasty looking group of Harbingers over in the east that Furfa is struggling to deal with. We do have some bricks further back belonging to Yoji, which is trying to head them off. But at the moment it's 4 bricks and a Rhino and a couple of Deceivers versus... Let's just have a look at how many Cybrants have amassed here. 11 Harbingers. However, seems to have done the job. Cybrants does have a spy plane scouting. I guess unsupported. We've got T3 gunships in the area. Doesn't like the look of it. But finally, we have a push, an experimental push no less, as a GC out there from Pepe tests the front lines of Ready for Action. See if his name is accurately placed. He is going to get some assistance from a Monkey Lord from Yoji, so we're properly in the experimental phase of the game now. GC showing its back, never ideal. And in comes a wave of broadswords to inflict max pain. There's the aerial response. In comes the response to the response. And that is going to persuade Cybrants to back off. He seems to have done better recently at amassing more planes. He's up to 65 fighters now, up from about 11, I believe, from when we last checked. Yoji for Team 2 has 73, however, and then of course we've got a decent chunk of fighters belonging to Gojo. 27 there. So in a direct fight between the two groups of ASFs, you would expect Team 2 to come out of that one victorious. Might lose the broadswords in the process, but look at that. Not only was all of the ground spam defeated, the GC has also fallen, and fallen in a pretty convenient location for Team 2 to cannibalize there. That's almost 20,000 mass worth of wrecks right on Ready for Action's front doorstep. I'll say thank you very much for that. Megalith under construction for Yoji. No other big toys on the way as yet. Another... oh, that's the Monkey Lord we saw just a moment ago. Taking some serious damage after that engagement. It's only got about 16k left in the tank. But we have a Fat Boy on the front line in the east for Furfur. And that does present a few challenges for these frontline bases of Cybrants. Brings in some Serenity T3 mobile artillery launchers. They'll get a few volleys off, but then they draw fire onto themselves. And the worst part of things for Team 1 is that Fat Boy gets to roll back under base shield coverage for extra protection. Ready for Action, advancing forward with a combination of T1, T2 and T3 spam. Furfur's moving in for extra throwaway suicidal damage. Why not? Nice place to build some defenses if you can keep your engineers alive, and indeed the defenses alive throughout their construction. I imagine tooling up these cliff edges will make life very difficult for Team 2 to advance. There I was saying that Navy was going to play absolutely no part in this game whatsoever. Well, shut the front door. SA believes otherwise. He's even building an Ithota in the water next to this T2 naval yard. And he's churned out a bunch of those lethal Seraphim cruisers with their relentless missile spam. Unfortunately, he's facing off against an Aeon over here. There's a lot of volcanoes in play. Comprehensive tactical missile defense. Keeping up with the torrent of missile fire for the time being. Last play we saw up this eastern approach was actually from Cybrants coming down with Harbingers. This time the momentum's in the opposite direction, and it's Furfur who's pushed out with some Percivals. Just coming upon some of these fragmented defenses of these frontline bases. Do a little bit of damage here, but I don't think we're going to see any catastrophic damage inflicted. There's still a decent number of Percivals alive. Look at these miasma batteries. Large investment there. He won't want to lose. Just lacking on extra point defense fire. How many batteries is there in this little area? 10 T2 artillery emplacements. Definitely doesn't want to lose those if at all possible. Fat Boy's repositioned over here to put pressure on some of these central defenses. Down go the shield gens. Most of the miasmas actually still intact. Lots of T1 point defense which have been spammed up, and now the last of the Percivals are bugging out, it would seem. Fat Boy retasking though towards this direction. If they can keep this alive, safe from any gunship or bomber attacks, there's no reason that it can't level most of this given time. The miasmas to worry about. But those ones are unshielded if you can deal with those. One miasma left in there. Scratch that. None as the Percivals come in with a renewed attack. I think this little portion of Team 1's infrastructure might be going down. We have the Billy Nuke upgrade. Where is that going? It looks like it's going off towards the fleet. Have tactical missile defense, however. Will the missile be allowed to land? No, it will not. You'll have another missile up and running before you know it, however. Doesn't take too long. Unless they've slowed that up. That seems like it's going slower than it used to. Maybe he's severely underwater on mass production. No, he has some in the tank. I think they've nerfed that. Answers in the comment section below if I've got that right. Context is a wonderful thing. There'll be people saying, yes, Guile nerfed it from when? There was a change 2 years ago. Well, in my defense, that was probably the last time I played. Missile complete and missile away. This time moving up towards that central base. And there's no tactical missile defense in there. That's going to connect, but will the shielding have protected the base section? Looks like most everything is still standing, pretty much. Billy Nukes don't like shields. They are very, very weak explosions to balance out the low cost and the quick rapid fire. Inbound experimental from Team 1 gets broadsworded to death. This is going to be a problem for Team 1 being behind in the air game. Assuming they still are. 144 ASFs in play now for Yoji on Team 2. Cybrance is 135, so not that far behind. Gojo, however, also has another 65 to add to Yoji's on Team 2. Eco-wise, Team 2 up by about somewhere between 50 to 100 mass. It's looking level now, but I'm assuming it's at least 50 mass per tick, maybe 100. See it fluctuating there. Total mass accrued. Team 1 are actually ahead by a decent amount. Some 50,000 mass or so. Look at what's gone down here. Cybrance has been completely ousted from that position, and he's actually bringing his commander forward to all of this firepower. He has got cloak and he's got the microwave laser. This is some gutsy play here from Cybrance, who's about to use his comm offensively. That's what Yoji can see. Oh dear, they've got a perfect bead on where that comm is. Cloak or no cloak. That is not ideal. Oh dear, dear me. He does open up. He starts swatting some of these bricks, but look at his health evaporate. He's surely in trouble now. Right on the edge of the field of view. Gets a rank in veterancy in crucial time, but down to 3,000 hit points. What? The bricks carry on maneuvering up the hill towards the inbound megalith, and Cybrix is somehow still alive with a mere 2k HP. He's not out of the woods yet. There's a megalith further to the southeast, which is in range, but then that turns around. What the hell is going on? Oh my god, kill him now. Down to 1,400 hit points, but just out of range. Fatboy could still maybe hit it, but he's got other concerns. The two megaliths inbound on him. I think they're going to manage to finish off the Fatboy as his shields capitulate. Wow, Cybrix was lucky not to go down there. That is insane. Very, very close indeed. Meanwhile, a lovely little push underway in the southwest. Broadswords trying to kill off the lead Ithota in a duo which is pushing on towards Babel's southwestern base, and all of his forward infrastructure is being obliterated. Not only have we got these two experimentals, we've got a decent amount of T3 backup around with them. They've got siege tanks down here, lightning anti-air tanks, and in the back, sniper bots. That is a nasty, nasty task force. The first Ithota has been killed off. But did the gunships all go down to the T3 mobile? Not just the lightning tanks, but we've got bouncers down here too. I'm not seeing the broadswords anymore, so that will be a shame for Team 2. They've still got another Ithota down here to worry about. Where is he? There he is. And all of these siege tanks. Babel very close to the action here, uncomfortably so with that commander. He's on the move. But this is his main base, which could be going out here at 34 minutes. What, if anything, can Team 2 muster to stall this attack? We have 4 new gunships hitting back here. The Ithota's turning around. I think that's a mistake. Just try and inflict as much damage as you can. Maybe he's decided it's a mistake too. Oh, and a Duke is nearly ready. That is not ideal. Doesn't want to lose that, but isn't going to get a say in the matter. That's a fantastic kill. T3 static artillery out of the picture before it even goes online, but almost when it was online. Oh, and they'll be glad for the arrival of that Monkey Lord from the east. Yoji turning up in the nick of time. He's not going to win out against this Ithota, but he's going to inflict some damage and hopefully slow this up a notch. That was a lot of production capacity that's gone up, and there's about to be another massive, devastating loss inflicted with this next set of factories and T3 power plants. Oh man, not ideal at all. Team 2 have a hole to climb out of here. Finally, a GC shows up and 2 more Monkey Lords. That will be the end of this attack. Might score some damage on, well, instantly score some damage on these little T2 mass fab farms around these T3 mass points. But the Ithota is down. Maverick upset. There's the BM. We knew we were going to get some. It's coming from this disruptor fire, what he's complaining about. I zoomed in the minimap just a little bit, so if you wanted to see what was going on this other front, you could. The last of those units turning around now. What's going on over here meanwhile? Well, Team 2 are hitting back with their artillery pieces. Maverick seems to be the the target they've selected, probably just to hear him say some naughty, rude words. He himself was working on a disruptor that's now been abandoned in favour of more shield coverage. We'll no doubt get back to that soon. We have an emissary on the way over here for Pepe. Puck telling his teammates to shield up their bases from beyond the grave. And a nuke launcher in play over there. Ooh, was that a... That must have been... Ah, it's a support commander. Went pop. Probably to disruptor fire. Megalith on Megalith in the northeast. Cybrance with a little more HP on his. But there are Percivals filing up from the south to assist Furfa's Megalith. Are we working on more standoff weaponry? Not for the moment, for Yoji at least. It's experimental production. It's the order of business. It's a very fine balance. If you don't invest adequately in one side or the other, soon find yourself either losing in the ground game or getting annihilated in long-range artillery competition. So the exchange went well for Furfa from the first Megalith. I think he might lose his, but thanks to the inbound spam in the south, might manage to get... Oh, maybe that was before the Rankin Vet. But Mythologist's Megalith got for the kill. It's a long way away from getting the next rank, though, but there's not a lot of firepower left to finish it off. It's just being taken apart by 1,000 cuts, though. Finally, it capitulates. And importantly, the field will still be held by Furfa. Now, our Team 2 expanding after the hit to the southwest. That really was a lovely little push down here. If they just had a little more oomph to it and could have got into Yoji's base, this game might have been over. But Yoji's base stands and is currently working on a Scathis. Now, that's something I suggest shouldn't be allowed to go online. There's a nuke out from Furfa. Where is that headed? Looks like it's heading due north, more or less. There's Cybrance's commander. Is he going to try and hit all this to provide an open doorway for his inbound spam? I'd be amazed if there's not strategic missile defense here. OM goodness, there isn't. And that's going to kill a disruptor, which would have been firing back for some time. That's a beautiful placement, although it does leave all of these Gunthers online. Cybrance bringing his commander forward, though, with its pesky cloak and its annoying chest-mounted laser cannon. Mythologist moving in from the west with a Megalith to help seal this gap here. So, knocking on the door of 40 minutes. Team 2 are actually behind 300 mass per tick now and down some 150,000 mass. Something like that. Teleporter on the way for Maverick. He's had enough. Has he been BMing people? Yes, he has. Classic poo team. Cybrance. Mav, shut up. Mav, never change. That's an order. Two more Ethotas on this left-hand side, again with another sizable contingent of reasonably varied unit comp. Lots of Othams in there. How many siege tanks have we got in here? 18 siege tanks in this army, and what is that? 19 lightning tanks. You can also fire groundwards. Oh, Babel, what are you doing? He's back on the front line, and now he's not even moving. He's recognised the danger too late. No! There are defending experimentals right near him, but he's currently wandering through a very high traffic area in an attempt to get away here. Draws a bit of fire, and then some of the fire is drawn back onto the spider bot, but there's inbound bolts of plasma. No! Oh, that was calamitous. And Team 2 lose a second man. It's now a 6v4. That is not ideal. Seeing how this battle plays out. Well, there's a ton of experimentals down here for Team 2. They should be able to hold this. Team 1 will be happy that they've scored another comm kill out of the engagement. They will be sorry that they didn't inflict more damage. Again, of course, this is a big old mass dump right on Team 2's doorstep. Reclaim-wise, Team 2 have been faring better out of the deal, just for the sheer amount of stuff that's been thrown at them. Oh, look at this. So, Gojo bringing his comm up over here and going after Sui, who's not even in the game. That will land perfectly, but it shows you just how weak the Billy Nukes are. It takes him down to 1,000 hit points, but Sui will survive. It's like, really? Wasn't doing anything. You're just going after a comm kill for the sake of it. I suppose there's always the threat that he could come back somehow. Back from whatever strange activity forced him to abandon the game. What could it possibly be? Maybe he had to go and stuff some sausages or bring in the laundry from the garden. Who can say? Finish an urgent game of Patonk. Any number of plausible things, really. So now we do have counter artillery fire. And at some point, I think it was down here, wasn't it? At some point we have lost the disruptor belonging to Yoji. However, he's nearly finished the Scathis. But the Scathis definitely seems to have been scouted. It's currently drawing the emissary fire. And only one shield gen covering it. And it's a partially upgraded shield gen. And even that is partially depleted. And now it's completely vulnerable. One more hit should do it. The Scathis almost complete. We've got attack pings going down. Firing variants means that that next shell landed wayward. And then the shields blink back on. And the Scathis is now operational and covered. First volley away. I imagine the targets will be the opponent's artillery pieces. Where's Maverick gone? Maverick? Where's your commander? Oh my goodness. I was just going to look down, see where he was, because I saw him upgrading that teleporter earlier, of course. And he went for the laser. So he teleported down here, took out some mass points, and is now on the move again. Will he be going home? Or will he be going for the kill? We've got a lot of point defense covering Yoji's comm. Oh, shield coverage just about keeping the Scathis alive. But it's inflicting damage now. Mythologist is rooted to the spot. Looks like he might be a primary target. A lot of shells seem to be landing around him. Maverick zapping over to the east now, taking out more mass points. There's a lot of mass points to go for, but this is risky play. Presumably he's on the way out. Yes, he is. Away he goes again. And he's blinked right into the center. This time he is going for Yoji, but his laser hits a support commander instead of Yoji's comm. Excuse me. He does get killed off by all of the defending point defense. Did he get the Scathis, though, crucially? I can't tell. Yeah, he did. So that will not be a death completely in vain. He's depleted shield gens. He's killed off the Scathis. Has that inflicted enough damage? Still 1.8 to 1.6k in favor of Team 1. Team 2 with a huge quantity of ASFs, but not much else on the ground here. I'm wondering if they're lacking the ability to hit back now. Yoji pulling in a massive 790. That must be Reclaim related. Although Cybran is pulling in 3k. And I think that's a recall underway. Is that Team 2 pulling out after that final attack from Maverick? Yoji's comm exposed. Usually when they're in it to win it, you'd see them trying to rebuild that. And there's the recall from Furfur. GG's out all round, and Team 1 pull off the victory. It was a nice little tactical hit from Maverick. He came down there, massacred a few mass points in the bottom left. Popped over here, massacred some more. And although he didn't manage to kill off Yoji, where was the... Oh, I can't even see it now. I don't know where it was. It was somewhere in here. Somewhere around here. But you had the Scathis, and then you had Yoji on that side, and the support commander was sat just in between him and Mav, and that's where the laser went and killed off the support commander. Or maybe didn't even kill off the support commander, but nearly did, certainly. And all of the point defense, which was sat in here, T1s and T2s, finished Mav off pretty quick. But the important thing is the Scathis died, and the artillery pieces from Team 1 were going to be able to do all of the rest. And there were many more on the way, I'm sure. We had a disruptor there, emissary went there, new emissary on the way. I built emissary there, another one under construction, another disruptor over on the left hand side on the way. Admittedly all early doors, but it really did look like Team 2 were just going to get peppered to death by T3 static artillery, and they really didn't have a lot on the ground. I suppose they had a couple of GCs and a megalith down there, but that wasn't going to break through, I don't think. Yeah, I don't blame them for that that concession, that conceding. Was probably the way to go. But I hope you enjoyed it, guys. There's always more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined, there is the Patreon channel. A mere $1 a month gets you access to 111 premium content casts and counting. We try and get a new one out every week. It also gets you access to the Discord as well. Other tier options of payment are available, but non-essential for those main benefits. So yes, do consider it, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, do consider it. I would appreciate it very much. The best way to support me, and another good way to support me, is to like and subscribe if you haven't done already. So do check that out. All right, until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.